food I'm going to be getting pretty soon.
Yeah, I can't tell people in Japan enough to get out of there.
Oh, yeah, I know it's going to be bad over there.
Japan, get out of Japan.
Japan and China.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Japan, I've heard that Japan could be the next island to go down.
Yeah.
Even Hawaii, with the volcanoes that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody on islands, you need to get off the islands. Get off the islands, get away, start moving inland. Because, it's not going to get any better. This stuff isn't going to stop, you know what I mean? I mean, we're not going to go back to last year when there was disaster here and there. It's going to increase in frequency and intensity. And so we're not going to go back to a time when there just was no earthquakes anywhere else, anywhere, volcanoes or disasters around the corner.
It's going to be all over.
Yeah, we're looking at a time now to where they're over our shoulders constantly. There's one coming constantly.
Okay. Well, I got to go. Thanks.
All right, well, thanks for calling in.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Call-in number, folks, 260-356-2611. Yes, after 4 months of my own show, I finally have that number memorized. So what I was talking about with the destruction of America is if you look at it in Revelation chapter 18, Jeremiah chapter 50 and 51, Isaiah chapter 18, a lot of characteristics. And one of the three biggest reasons why America is destroyed is because of their actions and their works against God, their abuse and mistreatment of God's people, and for mistreating the nations and destroying the earth's environment. And you can take all the passages of Scripture that relate to Babylon's destruction, and they fit into one of those three categories. A lot of Christians are thinking, well, you feel loyal and patriotic to your country now, but when America is destroyed, we will be cheering and clapping, because when the Lord destroys America, He is doing it to avenge the blood of His people that have been killed on this soil. And so if you ever had a time to wake up and realize that our Christian president is not a Christian, he's really planning your death instead of your well-being, now's the time. Okay. Too much deception going on in the churches today. A lot of them being run and controlled by Rome.
Sherry?
Yeah.
John is back.
Okay, put John on.
Well, hello again.
Well, hello. This is the night of the JJs.
It is.
John, Joshua, Josh.
Oh, and Deborah.
Yeah.
One Deborah.
One Deborah.
I was calling back about that information about March 18th.
Okay, great.
And as you know, the other side will sometimes stage an event based upon their interpretation of things.
Yep.
And sometimes it'll happen, sometimes it won't. During World War II, the Germans and the Russians, too, tried to time certain battles and certain things based upon some well-known formulas. So when something happened on a particular day, it was kind of artificial, but people sort of looked out for particular dates because of that. But what makes this March 18th so interesting is, and I've got the references for you on this as well,
okay,
is, for one thing, the people that died on that day. As an example, Jacques de Molay died on that day. Ivan the Terrible of Russia died. The last king of Egypt, King Farouk, died. And George I of Greece died on that day. Then you had Pope Honorius III died on that day. A strange thing about King George of Greece, though, is one, he was assassinated, as several of these people were. And just after the last Olympics, the Archbishop of Greece mysteriously died in a plane crash. Many people think he was helped on to the great beyond. So you have a double thing with Greece, and then the name George, and then also with Pope. All these great leaders of countries died on this day. And the reference for that is on the web. There are several excellent ones for seeing what happens on your birthday and that sort of thing.
I want to know what happened on mine.
But this particular one comes from one called Scopesys. That's SCOPESYS.com. And you can type in any date and see the different things. And as far as it being a strange day in terms of the calendar, there's a wonderful resource on the web called calendarhome.com/converter. And it'll convert any calendar back and forth, especially people who look at, say, the Jewish calendar or and want to find out when a particular date occurs on our calendar. It has several of the computer calendars, and that particular day is when Unix time value goes to, well, let's see, it's 111111 across the board. It's the only time it'll happen in our lifetimes.
Huh.
So it makes it kind of a special day. I have no idea if anything is going to happen or if it's just a peculiarity of these things coming together on that date.
Well, we know that, if Bush is the Antichrist, there will be an assassination where he's actually not dead, but they will have his formal state funeral and play the whole thing out as he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's always been my belief that, just from looking at things, my own opinions, I should say, is that he would die, that Maitreya would come, and that he would return, Bush would return back in October as a transformed and rejuvenated Antichrist.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt he would be gone when Maitreya comes, because when the Antichrist returns, what I've seen is that when in his absence, somebody else is appointed as leader here in America, because
mm-hmm.
obviously somebody would step up to become president, and he doesn't get along with him. And so I've seen this feud or whatever in the codes, and of course none of that. There's no saying it's going to happen. But I just find it interesting. I use it as a measuring stick at what I look at if things are happening around me today, as to what I've seen could possibly happen from the codes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that there's going to be a lot of chaos. If he went in March, would probably be one of their good times. It's just one of those occult months where they like to kill people off at those dates.
Yeah, and let us hope that nothing bad happens to anyone. Certainly pray that anyone would be delivered from such a terrible fate. But again, things tend to happen on certain dates and certain clusters of dates throughout history.
And I really think that I know a lot of people are looking for a stock market crash. I really don't. If it's going to happen, it'd have to happen in the early months, because the only way that this Maitreya is going to sound halfway appealing to anybody is the fact that he can promise peace and prosperity to everybody. So you have to be broke
mm-hmm.
for that prosperity to sound good if you're really wealthy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so if he comes with this big peace and prosperity plan, this Nasera agenda and all this, and it'd be easier for people to fall for that if our economy was in total shambles.
It's one of the things that helped Hitler rise to power. Was his economic program that gave a lot of people who were in great economic distress relief.
Yeah, and that's what this Nasera thing is. And I was on Jeff's show. He was quoting some guy that doesn't believe Nasera exists. Well, there's a lot of information out there for something that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. and even if they call it something else, it seems like a very logical plan in the face of a disaster, of an economic disaster. They would have to do something, and that plan on the surface of it would
yeah, and it's all very tightly organized, because it's not something that's going to come out of left field by itself. We have indirectly found out that it's George Bush Sr. that is behind all of those Nasera's websites.
Mm.
And so you see the Illuminati hand working with, the Abyss freaks, which is no big